I never expected silence to feel so loud. When my husband left for his work trip, the house didn't just become empty, it became watchful, as if every corner was paying attention to what I would do with my freedom. He kissed my forehead before leaving, told me he'd call every night, and reminded me to take the dog out regularly. At the time, his words felt routine, almost forgettable. I didn't realize how much weight they would carry later. Asterisk, for the first 2 days, everything was normal. I followed my routine, worked from home, cooked simple meals, and took my dog out for long walks in the evening. My dog, Max, had always been my quiet companion, loyal, observant, and strangely intuitive. He seemed to sense when something in the house shifted emotionally, even before I did. Asterisk, on the third night, I missed my husband's call. Not intentionally. I was out later than usual, sitting on a bench at the park while Max rested at my feet. A neighbor I barely knew had struck up a conversation. It was harmless at first, casual talk about dogs, weather, life. But something about being seen, being listened to, felt different. I told myself it meant nothing. That was the first lie I told myself. When I got home, I noticed my phone lighting up with missed calls and messages. Guilt flickered through me, but I brushed it aside. I texted back quickly, apologized, and blamed bad reception. My husband replied with concern, then affection. He trusted me completely. That trust sat heavier than any accusation could have. Asterisk, over the next few days, small changes crept in. I lingered longer on walks. I checked my phone more often. Conversations that should have ended didn't. Max was always there, walking beside me, stopping when I stopped, watching when I hesitated. Sometimes I felt like he was the only one who truly saw me. Asterisk, one evening, while brushing Max in the living room, my phone buzzed with a message that made my heart race. It wasn't explicit. It didn't have to be. It was familiar, personal, and crossed a line I had pretended didn't exist. I stared at the screen while Max rested his head on my knee, completely unaware of the storm forming above him. Asterisk, that was the moment I realized something had changed, not just outside me, but inside. Asterisk, I hadn't touched anyone. I hadn't said anything outright inappropriate, but emotionally, I was somewhere I shouldn't have been. I was sharing parts of myself that belonged to my marriage with someone who had no right to them. And the worst part was how easy it felt to justify it. Asterisk, I told myself my husband was busy, that he didn't understand me the way he used to, that I deserved attention too. Every excuse sounded reasonable until I looked at Max, waiting patiently for me to clip on his leash, trusting me without question. The irony wasn't lost on me. One night, everything unraveled. My husband called unexpectedly, earlier than usual. I answered too slowly. He noticed. He always noticed small things, pauses, tone shifts, changes in rhythm. He asked what I was doing. I hesitated. Max barked softly in the background, breaking the silence. Just got back from a walk, I said. It wasn't a lie. It just wasn't the whole truth. Asterisk, after we hung up, I sat on the floor, back against the couch, Max curled beside me. The house felt heavier than ever. I replayed the conversation in my mind, realizing how close I was to becoming someone I never thought I could be. Betrayal doesn't begin with action, it begins with permission. Asterisk, the next day, my husband sent a message that shattered my justifications. He thanked me for being patient while he was away. He said he missed our life, our home, our dog. He said he trusted me. Trust. That word echoed louder than anything else. That evening, during our walk, I made a decision. I ended the conversations. I didn't dramatize it. I didn't explain every detail. I simply closed the door I had foolishly cracked open. It felt anticlimactic, almost disappointing, and that scared me more than anything else. Asterisk, when I returned home, I sat quietly with Max, running my hand through his fur, grounding myself in something real. I realized how close I had come to losing not just my marriage, but my sense of who I was. The temptation hadn't been about another person, it had been about escaping myself. Asterisk when my husband came home days later. He hugged me longer than usual. Max practically knocked him over with excitement. Watching them together, I felt a mix of relief and shame. I didn't confess every thought, every emotional misstep, but I changed. And sometimes, change is the most honest confession there is. Asterisk. What I learned from that experience is something I carry with me every day. Infidelity doesn't always look like people imagine. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it hides behind loneliness, routine, and unmet needs. Sometimes it waits patiently for absence, asterisk, and sometimes the only witness is a dog lying at your feet while you decide who you want to be. Asterisk. Max never judged me. He never questioned my choices. He simply stayed. And in his silent loyalty, I found the clarity I almost lost. Asterisk. This story isn't about scandal. It's about how close ordinary moments can come to irreversible consequences. It's about the thin line between temptation and betrayal, and how easily it can be crossed when no one seems to be watching, but someone is always watching, even if it's just you.